Wallace Delois Wattles was an American author. A New Thought writer, he remains personally somewhat obscure, but his writing has been widely quoted and remains in print in the New Thought and self-help movements. Wattles' best-known work is a 1903 book called The Science of Getting Rich, in which he explained how to become wealthy. Life and career. Wattles' daughter, Florence A. Wattles, described her father's life in a letter that was published shortly after his death in the New Thought magazine Nautilus, edited by Elizabeth Town. The Nautilus had previously carried articles by Wattles in almost every issue, and Town was also his book publisher. Florence Wattles wrote that her father was born in the U.S. in 1860, received little formal education, and found himself excluded from the world of commerce and wealth. According to the 1880 U.S. federal census, Wallace lived with his parents on a farm in Nunder Township, McHenry County, Illinois, and worked as a farm laborer. His father is listed as a gardener and his mother is keeping house. Wallace is listed as being born in Illinois while his parents are listed as born in New York. No other siblings are recorded as living with the family. According to the 1910 census, Wattles had changed the spelling of his last name from Walters to Wattles. He was married to Abby Walters, 47, at the time. They had 3 children, Florence Walters, 22, Russell H. Walters, 27, and Agnes Walters, 16. It also shows that at the time Wallace's mother Mary A. Walters was living with the family at the age of 79. Florence wrote that he made lots of money, and had good health, except for his extreme frailty in the last 3 years before his death. Wattles died on February 7, 1911 in Ruskin, Tennessee, and his body was transported home for burial to Elwood, Indiana. As a sign of respect, businesses closed throughout the town for 2 hours on the afternoon of his funeral. His death at age 51 was regarded as untimely by his daughter. In the previous year he had not only published 2 books, but he had also run for public office. Christian Socialism. In 1896 in Chicago, Illinois, Wattles attended a convention of reformers, and met George Davis Herron, a Congregational Church minister and professor of applied Christianity at Grinnell College, who was then attracting nationwide attention by preaching a form of Christian socialism. After meeting Herron, Wattles became a social visionary and began to expound upon what Florence called the wonderful, social message of Jesus. According to Florence, he at one time had held a position in the Methodist Church, but was ejected for his heresy. 2 of his books dealt with Christianity from a socialist perspective. In the 1908 election, he ran as a Socialist Party of America candidate in the 8th Congressional District. In 1910 he again ran as a socialist candidate, for the office of prosecuting attorney for the Madison County, Indiana 50th Court District. He did not win either election. Florence Wattles remained a socialist after his death, and was a delegate to the Socialist Party National Committee in 1912 and 1915. New Thought. As a Midwesterner, Wattles traveled to Chicago, where several leading New Thought leaders were located, among them Emma Curtis Hopkins and William Walker Atkinson, and he gave Sunday night lectures in Indiana. However, his primary publisher was Massachusetts-based Elizabeth Town. He studied the writings of Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel and Ralph Waldo Emerson and recommended the study of their books to his readers who wished to understand what he characterized as the monistic theory of the cosmos. Through his personal study and experimentation, Wattles claimed to have discovered the truth of New Thought principles and put them into practice in his own life. He also advocated the then popular health theories of the great masticator Horace Fletcher as well as the no breakfast plan of Edward Hooker Dewey, which he claimed to have applied to his own life. He wrote books outlining these principles and practices, giving them titles that describe their content, such as Health Through New Thought and Fasting and the Science of Being Great. His daughter Florence recalled that he lived every page of his books. A practical author, Wattles encouraged his readers to test his theories on themselves rather than take his word as an authority, and he claimed to have tested his methods on himself and others before publishing them. Wattles practiced the technique of creative visualization. In his daughter Florence's words, he formed a mental picture, or visual image, and then worked toward the realization of this vision. He wrote almost constantly. It was then that he formed his mental picture. He saw himself as a successful writer, a personality of power, an advancing man, and he began to work toward the realization of this vision. He lived every page. His life was truly the powerful life. Influence. Rhonda Byrne told a Newsweek interviewer that her inspiration for creating the 2006 hit film The Secret and the subsequent book by the same name, was her exposure to Wattles' The Science of Getting Rich. Byrne's daughter, Haley, had given her mother a copy of the Wattles book to help her recover from her breakdown. The film itself also references, by repopularizing the term the law of attraction, a 1908 book by another New Thought author, William Walker Atkinson, titled Thought Vibration or the Law of Attraction in the Thought World. Bibliography, The Constructive Use of Foods, Hellfire Harrison, Jesus, The Man and His Work, a long speech made into a pamphlet, and the Base of A New Christ, Letters to a Woman's Husband, How to Get What You Want, Making of the Man Who Can, republished later as How to Promote Yourself, New Science of Living and Healing, republished as Health Through New Thought and Fasting, Perpetual Youth, an early science fiction story. Scientific Marriage, What is Truth? The Science of Trilogy, The Science of Getting Rich, republished posthumously in 1915, as Financial Success Through Creative Thought, The Science of Being Great, The Science of Being Well. See also, Napoleon Hill, Charles F. Harnell, Joseph Murphy, Law of Attraction, Thomas Troward, Genevieve Beand. References. External links, works by Wallace Wattles at Project Gutenberg, works by or about Wallace Wattles at Internet Archive, works by Wallace Wattles at LibriVox, individual works, The Science of Being Great, The Science of Getting Rich, The Science of Being Great, The Science of Being Rich, Hellfire Harrison.